So this is day 38 with Eton while I'm working him in the pen. I'd done some clicker training with the halter a little earlier in the morning. And so now I'm just working on continuing the sending exercise, which has gotten a lot better. So we're now starting to think a little bit more. He's got one ear on me. He still likes to try to stop right there, but again, with him, I'm trying to get one step at a time. I did a little bump on the halter there to kind of slow his feet down, tell him that I wanted him to stop. Now I'm getting the steps to the right, and I'm not having to move my feet as much, which is good. Here's a little bit of the right side, but again, so much better. He's starting to give me the step, and then that increases to him sending to the right. Still a work in progress, though. But now I can start putting a little bit more pressure on him, and he can start coping with that instead of, if I would have done this earlier on, he liked to crash into the panels, because I've had some people comment about putting more pressure on. And it's also a little tricky in here because, as you can see, there are the posts. So you have to be a little careful with how you control your body and the horse in this pen, but it's what I got to work with, so you learn how to deal with it in certain ways. So again, just working sending to the right. This is much better. And then asking for the hind end to yield. And then change directions. It's getting a little smoother. I can touch my face without him running away sometimes. He's starting to get the concept of when I suggest to move forward and when I'm asking him to yield. I went in to fix his halter a little bit. Then working with fiddling with my rope a little bit really helps get them used to your hands moving around. And now I'm doing a little bit more rope work. I'm going to place the rope on his butt, kind of like somewhat what you can do with foals when you're teaching them to lead. So this will get him again used to that pressure back there on his legs. It also gives me a little bit more control for when he is trying to spin his haunches around. So just starting to work on a little bit more body control, getting him used to having stuff touching him on his body. Doing pressure and release. And working on being able to walk into him a little bit to rub his neck while he has ropes on and all that good stuff. And again, using this technique with the rope kind of helps me get a little bit more control of the hind end a little bit. If he goes to kind of spin away, I can at least start to add a little bit of pressure on that side. He gets a little bit of desensitization for things touching his legs, and also with the gap in between kind of the rib cage, the neck, and the eye, he kind of gets used to seeing my hand moving back and forth. So that's all really important for when you do get on and ride, and then your hand kind of goes down and around or moves. The horse will be accepting of it. So just playing now with kind of flipping that rope. There I got a nice lick and chew, so I'm going to give him a minute. Again, just messing with the ropes a little bit. He's doing pretty good. Trying to see if I can flip it up. There we go. And give him a rub. I'm going to recoil the rope. He kind of sees that as a little bit of pressure, so I'm going to ask him to yield his haunches, and he did a good job there. Now working again on that right side. Just getting him used to flicking the rope a little bit. He's got to understand that not everything means to run away. So there is a difference from when I add pressure and I have a certain energy, there's a mindset, versus then when you turn that off. Mustangs can get very sensitive to that. You can get to where you just think it and they can do it. But I got to kind of work through a little bit of the oversensitivity to any type of movement. So again, just working on getting that rope on the butt, getting him used to a little bit of pressure. And again, taking the time, always recoiling, letting him see the movement of my hand. And then going in for the pet. And this is really good because then he has to see the ropes. The ropes are also touching him. My hand's also touching him. Just working on a little bit of softness here when he wants to go to run a little bit. I'm going to ask for some softness in the halter. That was good. So here I can hold a little bit more pressure on the rope and give a little bit of a bump on the halter. You got a little bit of a lick and chew. And he just thinks when I move in that that is the send. So I'm just working on getting it a little different. And the rope kind of slipped back around his tail. He actually handles that really well. Oftentimes a trigger for horses can be if that rope gets under that tail, that can, and then they clamp and then they can go to bucking and freaking out. He's actually pretty good about that. So again, now we're moving forward. I'm just going to keep adding this pressure. Little bumps on the halter. He has to learn that he can stand. Not everything means to run away. And here he starts to hold his ground a little bit, so then I can give him a rub. And then he's able to let me put the rope, and then I back off. And of course he does a nice little snort there to release his energy. He just gets so filled with tension that blow snort comes out. And some horses can be like that. That is kind of his thing when he gets worried, but he's working through it. This is really good for the right side. Having to fiddle with the ropes, working on flicking the rope over to get it in the correct position. So there he reacted to my hand kind of being down by the clasps of the rope, which again, you want to make sure you can work on that, because I've had where when I've gotten on one before and I reached down to fix a rein and boom, I was on the ground before I knew it. So a lot of this work is kind of, again, prepping for riding, getting them used to all of the spots under the chin, under the throat latch, in that gap between the eye and the rib cage, touching the haunches, touching the back legs. And this is just the beginning stage of this work. I'll do a lot more work with this as well later on. So here, that was a nice softening right there. Adding the pressure to the rope. That was really good. Now I'm starting to get a nice lick and chew. He's starting to think a little bit. Holding me on that right side a little bit better. And that was really good. And this helps too because he's a little sticky footed, so I can use this technique when I start to take him out of the round pen to help him feel a little bit more secure. So this butt rope will end up being a little bit of a security blanket for him. Although right now he got a little anxious, but I was able to keep it on there, keep the pressure. There, I got a nice lick and chew. I'm just going to give him a minute here. And again, just that little area in between the shoulder and the eye, that space right there. That's where he's getting a little nervous. He took a breath. That was good. And just ask for a little bit of softness. That's getting better. That was actually really nice. He let me walk in and rub him. That was very good. And you can see he started to come in to me and drop his head a smidge. Again, he doesn't give me a lot. He gives me an inch or two, but that was really good again. And there he responded really nicely off the rope. So now I'm working on that visual of my hand moving back and forth. He handled that much better. And playing with putting my hand over his head, practicing for when reins go over his head. That was really nice. Oh, and then he got spooked when I touched. So now I'm going to go back. That was really good. Gave him a rub on the forehead. He's even getting better about me working on flipping the rope so I can get it over on the other side. Now I'm going to work on a little bit of following the nose exercise. That was really good. Now working on getting the coil of the rope to touch him, so getting him to see something coming at him. Got a nice lick and chew. Now I'm going to walk away a little bit. Go back. At least that time when I scratched my head, he didn't bolt away. So that's progress. Now just working on rubbing him with the rope. And again, flipping it over his back. He's handling this pretty good, especially on the left side. Working on a little softness there. That was nice. Took another breath. Now you can see even relaxed a little bit more. Head went a little bit more level. Working again on a little bit of softness. That was nice. Now I'm adding a little bit of pressure on the butt rope. I'm adding more pressure so he can get used to kind of being pushed on by something. This is also really helpful. So for like when I'm in the wash rack and I need to push him over sideways, he kind of will know how to move away from the pressure. That was really good. Now I'm asking him to walk forward. And then asking for the softness and the yield a little bit right there. That was nice. Very good boy. That was really good. Just a little bit of spook, but there he started to understand and he stopped. And he's starting to really like kind of the voice cue, telling him good. So now I'm going to give him a minute here. And now he's starting to relax even more when I take that rope off. A little flinchy, but that's not too bad. Really happy with how he's progressing. Got a nice lick and chew, and then he stepped into me, so really happy with him.